see that the horizon is as level as possible. I want to include myself in it. So you went then the following year or so with your father
and Johnny.
and Johnny, not Jared,
No.
your brother Johnny.
My brother Johnny.
Yeah.
That was 1960.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother Hughie went to fish with wee Paddy and Wessie, and that boat the Pollocks.
Yes. Just on, before you go on, Tommy, there weren't boats at that time with petrol engines. Is that, am I right? You hadn't developed diesel. You hadn't gone to the diesel engines at that stage.
And that boat that Wessie had at that time was a 6-cylinder Vauxhall engine. But the engines that we had before that was a 4-cylinder Ford 24. And she run on TVU. You started on Patra, and then she went on TVU. So it was a Model T, they called her, 1924 she was made.
That's an old engine.
She was a great engine because she had 4 big plugs on the top of the cylinder head, and she could vaporize the TVU. You started on Patra and then you switched her over to TVU. And the tank was in under the deck. But then as the years went on, then we put in a 6-cylinder Dodge. She wasn't as good as going on TVU as the 4-cylinder Ford, but that Model T was made in 1924.
Yeah, that's old. Now just we'll go back again now till you started fishing with your father and your brother Johnny.
In 1960.
Was it, did you get on well together?
Oh, great.
Your father was a good fisherman. He had a great name of being an expert fisherman. Was Johnny good in the loch?
Great fisher.
Right.
Great fisher. Was good at lifting the line and baiting the line. Oh, real good fisherman.
1960, Tommy, were you still fishing at night, setting the line at night, or was there an opportunity to daytime fishing?
Well, in 1960, we were still fishing at night because some bailiffs were still after us. But then into the 60s, the eel drafting had come in.
Yes.
We just started to draw at night. And we used to draw up at the foot of the Dramina there. There was a lot of eels caught there, drawing at night. Because Mark Fotchie and John James McKee was fishing with Lough Neagh, Martin Devlin's father. And they used to draw up there too, and there was a lot of eels. So then the eel drafting had come in after that, drawing at night. But an odd time we went and drew in the hole in the middle of the day along the 3 Ardboe, but not very often.
Yes.
But the most eels ever I seen got in the middle of the day in the hole was 8 stone. Me and my father and Johnny.
That was one draft?
No, that was
the day's drawn?
Full day's
drawn.
drawn.
Right, yes.
So then I think in the mid-60s then the trawler come in. So the boats got bigger and got more horsepower, and then after that the diesel engine. And see, that was the greatest thing that ever come. Because you had no battery, you had no TVU, no splitter.
So the diesel was more reliable, even in the early stages?
Very reliable.
Well, tell me this, Tommy, did your father trawl?
No.
He didn't? No. Had he stopped fishing, or did he just not fancy?
He had stopped fishing.
Oh, he had stopped fishing?
He never trawled. He used to lift the trawl nets for us.
Yes.
But he never trawled there.
Can you remember the first time you went out to trawl? Or the first boat you seen trawling? Or the first person that got a trawl net around this shore?
Well, the first person ever I seen trawling was Laddie Smith. Laddie Smith was the first.
He was a Cronfield boat?
Yeah, he was a Cronfield. That was the first boat I ever seen trawling. Then we started to trawl after that. But whenever we were trawling at that time, the diesel engine was in. There was no battery or TV at that time.
Was it successful from the start, or was it hit and miss working with the net? Did you have problems?
Well, we had problems at the beginning and then overcome, you know. then the Dutch net come in, you see.
So the first trawler wasn't the Dutch net?
No.
What was the difference, Tommy? What was it, in size or?
In size was different and different made.
Mm-hmm.
The Dutch net, the homemade net was very temperamental.
Aye.
If she wasn't made right or towed right and everything right, she went into the Lough with you.
Down into the mud?
Into the mud, and it was pure disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hit or miss.
Aye.
But with the Dutch net, there's no hit or miss.
So you went through those trials and tribulations
That's right.
with the homemade net to start with?
Oh, aye, with the homemade net.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen lots and lots of fields in the homemade,
If things were going right?
if things was going
Aye.
right.
Mm-hmm. So at that time, Tommy, did you also keep fishing a bit of a line, or did you devote yourselves totally to trawling?
No, we devoted ourselves totally to throw.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got no reels and it was an easy way.
So that, were you going out in the daytime?
We'll go
I'm
out.
thinking of, because the bailiffs were still on the loch.
Oh.
Was it daytime?
We'd go out in the daytime and we'd also go out at night.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But the daytime was the best because you seen what was happening. You could have somebody watching out for you. There was nobody that time, no mobile phones or
No radio, no communication except
except the smoke.
visual, whatever
Aye.
you saw.
And there was a man on the high point down there at the doctor's key of the bank.
Mm-hmm.
And he watched Francie Cruiser used to do it, and Earl Diddler used to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to watch on the bank, and then whenever we had patrol, he would light the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever we'd see the smoke, that a fire ready with damp hay, that you'd have a good white smoke.
So, actually, that fire of yours there behind you at the minute, if that was the proper fire, a person on the other side of the loch could see that.
That's right.
Isn't that right? You could see 10 miles.
Especially a white smoke.
So, and you knew the direction where that was. That was
we
meter
know.
point,
Oh,
Spaniards,
that's the point. You
knew-
you watched where the lookout man was.
that was the warning.
And that was one. And the minute the smoke went up, you pulled her and you made in.
It gave you that vital few minutes.
Well, then whenever he come, there was nothing there.
Mhm.
You're on the land, you see. Because the Francie Cruiser or Earl Diddler could see him coming out of Antrim River.
Did they
in a
use binoculars?
binocular and a telescope.
So they could see the patrol boat, whereas you wouldn't have seen that boat,
No.
even if you'd been looking for it.
Well, they would have seen because they're at a very high point,
Aye.
you see.
Mm-hmm. So it saved people. And well, were you chased? Were you? Did
Oh,
you?
Chased off one. Chased off one. And then we used to, whenever the hydrofoils come along, we used to hook them off, you see, drag them up.
This is when the English merchants
That's
put
right.
the English
Aye, that's whenever.
ex-servicemen and
That's
so
right.
on the hydrofoil and the catamaran.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. But then you were learning too at that time. You
That's
were
right.
becoming more every time they upped it, you
That's right.
countered it.
That's right.
Well, were you caught by any of the patrol boats during the trawling years?
I was caught in 1966. Me and Anthony was caught, and Johnny and Jim McKee was fishing with Johnny,
Mm-hmm.
and Joseph Felix and his son Joe was fishing. And we were trawling on Ernie Gibson Coleman on a trawling boat and John Kennedy. And we had taps over our heads, mast we didn't want to be recognised.
Yes.
So he lived up along the side of our boat and he called out my name. He says, "Half the mast because I know you." And he done the same with John and Jim McKee, and he done the same with Joseph Felix.
Mm-hmm.
And he summoned us and he took us to Crumble. We're right, we should have been took to Coke because we're near to the west and the war to
On the loch, you were near the west,
Yes.
the west land, yeah.
but he lacked Crumlin because he knew Darren.
Mm-hmm.
Darren at that time he was Fox. So we got Molly Duras to represent us, so we were fined, and I think I was fined 21 guineas. trawler and the net into Billy Duff and Co.
Mm-hmm.
So my father, he made up other boards for me. You weren't going to give away your good ones. And he made up an old rotten net, an old rotten ropes, and I landed the coat to give them to Billy Duff.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you didn't, there's a court order.
Yes, you could have finished up in jail maybe.
But I also took in Felix Collins, Joshua Felix's. But he didn't make up any other boards. He was in an old pole, 18-foot long.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that's what he used, but Billy Duff wouldn't accept it. So Felix had to come out and make 2 old doors and bring them in.
Mm-hmm.
That was in 1966.
Right. So Billy Duff was still the conservator at that time.
That's right. Whenever the 2 mill company
Yeah.
got you in the law, he had to hand it into him.
Mm-hmm.
Then he convicted you. And that was him that took he took you to court. And then the Gibson swore, blah, 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 and that was it.
Mm-hmm. Well, did it get, as it reached 90, or gone on up through the 60s towards 1970, did it get rougher on the law in terms of being chased by the bailiffs and so
the
on?
bailiffs wasn't fit to handle it at that time, the local bailiffs. So the 2 mill company set it out to a private company in Lough Neagh.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were Langley's. And they would have been ex-paratroopers
Uh-huh.
or ex-marines. Dave Chappell, Clifford Smith. They were the top men.
So did the Gibsons that we talked about earlier, did they retire at that time?
No, they didn't retire.
No.
They just were held on for their knowledge,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but they wouldn't have been playing the top part.
Yes.
You know, but if there was anybody that had to be identified,
I see.
they would have them there.
Mm-hmm.
Because on the last case that the 2 mill company took, was we were thrown out there from Neither Point, and there was 7 or 8 boats of us. Clifford Smith come, and he had an old bailiff, John Kennedy, with him,
Mm-hmm.
but we were firing stones. But whenever the stone was fired at him, he thought it was our Anthony that fired the stone.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Anthony that fired the stone, it was Wee Willie. They said. But John Kennedy said it was Anthony.
Yes.
So Anthony was summoned. That was the last court case the 2 mill company ever had.
Right.
And the 2 mill company at that time got Desmond Bull. Desmond Bull would have been a very high up man in the Unionists.
Yeah, he was a unionist politician, but he was
That's
also a barrister, wasn't
He
he?
was also a barrister.
Mm-hmm.
So they went beyond the ordinary solicitor. So they got Desmond Bull. Paddy Duffy was our solicitor. Well, he was the man that fired the stone, but Anthony was the man that was summoned. So we told this to Duffy. I know we told this to Duffy. Duffy said he would fight the case on picking out the right man.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the RM was Fox again. I was in Toon Courthouse. So Paddy Duffy said we'd have an identification period. So I'm red-headed, Ginger, Anthony was red-headed, Wee Willie was red-headed, Wee Jemmy was red-headed.
Yes. These are all fishermen
Yes,
from Anita.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we got about, I think, 12 redheads. We even put Robert Gwynn, Jack's Robert in.
Well, he wasn't a fisherman, but
He
he
wasn't
could
a
have been on the loch, possibly.
So that was very good. We all assembled in Michael's yard.
Mm-hmm.
So the case started and Desmond Bull was fighting it, and Paddy Duffy asked RM, he says, can this bailiff identify the man that hit him with the stone?
Mm-hmm.
Johnny, he can run out till Mackie's yard. He says you have to come for an identification. 10 or 12 of us walked in with red heads. But whenever we walked in, Dave Chappell, he knew everybody. He must have been an ex-marine. He was very, very intelligent. And he walked over to Clifford Smith for him to pick on.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I seen him making a move, I walked for him and I stopped him. So the policeman says, that's a contempt of court. I says, no, you make your man stand back.
Mm-hmm.
I says, he's going to tell him who to pick. So that was very good. He and Dave Chappell to take back and I had put back into my lane. Clifford Smith walked up and down looking into their faces. And he walked forward and he put his hand on Willie's hip.
Mm-hmm.
Duffy looked and he says to that misidentification, that's Willie dead.
Yeah.
That was the last that was the last case the 2 meal company had in Lough.
Yes. That is, and it's such a powerful one for the fishermen in a sense that they won very few cases, the fishermen.
Well, that was the last. And Desmond Bow. I think he was a barrister.
Oh, he was indeed, yes.
And that was the last case.
Mm-hmm.
And but if Dave Chappells would have got his way, he knew every one of us.
Uh-huh.
And he'd have told Clifford Smith.
They hadn't their homework done really.
Aye.
They didn't know about the
No.
ID period coming.
It come announced to them, but Chappell's no never come in through the door.
That's good.
Because he made his way to Smith, and whenever he made his way to Smith, I seen him, because I knew him terrible well. I made my way to him. So the policeman...
Well, it was a small victory, Tommy, the same in comparison to what the fishermen eventually achieved under Father Kennedy, surely. Were you involved with Father Kennedy from the beginning?
We were involved in it from the beginning. That first
Can you
year.
tell us something about it?
Well, you see, we got our first share. It was in the early 60s. E.L. Solomonson, you see, sold his share. There was five company directors, you see.
You ran the 2 meal company.
Ran the 2 meal company.
Mm-hmm.
So after we were beating the law, you see, E.L. Solomonson sold their share.
The fishermen lost the law case in 62 and 63 in Belfast High Court.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So then, after that, E.L. Solomonson sold his share, and we bought it.
Mm-hmm.
But we hadn't the money, so it had to be lifted round businessmen and cooks and several other men for to get a part of the money to buy the share.
Mm-hmm.
But it left Father Kennedy that we owned the fifth, and at them board meetings he represented
Yes.
us along with Hans Couchy and Charlie Marks, Brummer and Mark, the other 4 men.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we got our foot in the door. But seeing all that, if it wouldn't have been for Father Kennedy, we wouldn't have been the
Well, those would have been 5 or 6 very hard years fighting boardroom battles
Yes,
to achieve that the other merchants eventually sold out.
that's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever believe after what your grandfathers went through that the fishermen would have achieved what they did under Father Kennedy, getting the rights of the eel fishing on the Lough?
We never thought it'd ever happen.
Even when he was working for you, you didn't think it would
Well,
be successful?
we knew whenever he come in that there was a great chance.
Mm-hmm.
But between him and P.A. Duffy, we owed everything to them two. Both to P.A. Duffy and to Father Kennedy. Because then in 1967, you see, that was the first year the co-op started.
Mm-hmm.
So the 2 meal company was sticking the eels, you see. He had to send them down to 2.
Yes.
But we wouldn't sell them, you see. We sell them to the smugglers and smuggled them across the border.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were limited to so many stone in the wick and they knew too much about them. So we didn't sell them to them. If you'd have sent down, you'd only send down a couple of stone.
So this just wasn't your boat, this was practically all the boats on the Lough.
That's right, all the boats. then in 67.
And when you say smuggling, Tommy, the eels were smuggled, you caught them and you sold them off till a smuggler, not naming anybody, and those were shipped or transferred across the border to the south of Ireland.
That's right.
And then they made their way to
Made
Holland
their
or
way to
wherever
Holland.
legally.
That's right, legally.
Yeah, that's just to explain it.
Yes, we used to smuggle them to Mr. Brommer. He had been a brother of Brommer that owned Toom.
Mm-hmm.
And he was buying the Lough Neagh eels and the Southern Ireland eels, so we would draw them to him.
Yes.
But we'd have to take them up to Lough Neagh, outside of Belcoo, tank them there, then transport them across the lake a week after, and his tanker would lift them in Glenfarne
Mm-hmm.
and take them legally in across the border.
So did you actually see the smuggling operation taking place? Were you ever on those runs?
Oh, we smuggled our own.
Oh, right.
Oh, I smuggled
yes.
all no.
Oh, another chapter in your life,
Oh.
Tommy, that...
Oh, we smuggled our own whenever we trawled all day, and the bailiffs would come, you see, and try to confiscate them, you see.
Mm-hmm.
But we used to draw them till a lake up at Potters and Kildress. And say we had got a lot of eels at night, we would take them to Potters
Yes. Lake.
up at Kildress.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever we would get enough of them, then we'd transport them till Lough Neagh.
Mm-hmm.
And upper Lough Neagh,
So did you take them just in bins and barrels, or
No.
did you in...
172 stone I could take in a Bedford van
Yes.
with 2 racks. And you put 4 stone on every tap.
Mm-hmm.
And a wet day was a great day for smuggling, because if you were smuggling them on a dry day, you could see the water running in the back of your van,
Mm-hmm.
and the police could stop you and confiscate them.
Yes.
But if it was a wet day, there was no remarks passed.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we got a lot of eels, we took them then to Lough Neagh. Upper Lough Neagh borders Cavan, Leitrim and Fermanagh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, between Belcoo and the Garrison Road, there's a small portion of her there that's in the north. And whenever we put them in there, the man we stayed with, Pat Stewart, but his island was in the south.
Mm-hmm.
So then, whenever Brommer was coming to lift them, we would go and we would transport them across the lake in a place called Glenfarne Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And Brommer would be there with the tanker, and we would wear a catch. But taking them from here every other night to Potter's Lake up in Kildress, there was no risk.
Mm-hmm.
Because we used, whenever we got them at that time, we used to have to put the boat on the top of the tank. See, you got a big day's trawl, you would have to fill the tank,
Mm-hmm.
and you couldn't have it floating because they would take it. So you had it that it sunk, and you parked the boat on the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got away then the next night, then you transport it.
Mm-hmm. So long with that went on for...
That lasted right up to 1967.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then
The
the
co-op
pubs started buying eels, or they were allowed...
Yes, the 2 meal company threw the market open.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever they threw the market open that time, they thought we were snookered. They never realised that Father Kennedy, a priest, would form a co-op to buy brown eels.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1967 we sold our eels from that day to this day. The co-op that is the right way.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. Tommy, we'll stop now for a minute or two. You're doing great.